ISO is simply a camera setting that will brighten or darken a photo. As you increase your ISO number, your photos will go progressively brighter. For that reason, ISO can help you capture images in darker environments. However, raising your ISO has consequences. A photo taken at too high of an ISO will show a lot of grain, also known as noise, and might not be usable. To give an example, the first picture has an ISO setting of 200, while the second picture has an ISO setting of 3200. As you can see, the second picture has much more noise and the quality of the picture is grainy compared to the picture taken with only an ISO of 200. Most of the time, you only want to use a low ISO setting in order to minimize the noise in your pictures as possible. However, when you're in a dark environment, you need to use a high ISO setting to brighten your photos. It is also possible to use a high ISO setting when you need to take pictures of moving objects. In this example, the bird is moving at a high speed. If you would take this picture in a low ISO setting, the picture will come off as blurry because of the movement of the bird. With the high ISO setting, the picture comes off as clear and precise. In conclusion, the ISO setting is a great tool if you need to capture photos in dark environments. However, using too much ISO can create more noises in your pictures. Finding the optimal setting for your ISO determines the quality of your picture. Use a low ISO setting when there is plenty of light and use a high ISO setting in darker pictures or taking pictures of fast-moving objects.
Shutter speed is the length of time your camera shutter is open, exposing light to the camera's sensor. Basically, shutter speed is how long your camera spends time taking a photo. If your shutter speed is long, moving objects in your photo will appear blurred along with the direction of motion. This effect is quite often used in advertisement of cars and motorcycles.
Aperture can add dimensions to your photos by controlling the depth of field. At one extreme, aperture gives you a blurred background with a beautiful shallow focus effect. At the other, it will give you sharp photos from the nearby foreground to the distant horizon. On top of that, aperture also alters the exposure of your images by making them brighter or darker. Aperture is a hole within a lens through which light travels into the camera body. It is an easy concept to understand if you just think about how your eyes work. As you move between bright and dark environments, the areas in your eyes either expands or shrinks, controlling the size of your pupil. In photography, the pupil of your lens is called aperture. You can shrink or enlarge the size of the aperture to allow more or less light to reach your camera sensor. As you can see in the picture, the wider the lens, the more light it captures, but the smaller the lens, the less light it captures. These are the tips on how to take a photo with your camera. Number 1. Master shooting modes. Number 2. Understand the ISO. Number 3. Learning the exposure triangle. Number 4. Master metering including exposure compensation. 5. Learning about focusing. 6. Understand the file size or types. 7. Learn about white balance. A quick pro tip. After learning the basics, make sure to be inspired and take a lot of photos.